quand même 20 minutes de retard.
Okay. So good morning and welcome to this panel discussion on fintech. We aim to reveal today the secrets of building customer confidence in the world of finance and technology. There is no doubt that fintech has truly transformed how we manage our finances, covering convenient and innovative solutions like mobile payments, digital currencies, insurtech, and automated investing. And that is why it has been historically one of the areas that have attracted more venture capital investment and one of the verticals that has created more unicorns. Let's begin refreshing some of the numbers of fintech industry today. In 2022, investment in fintech reached 25 billion worldwide. And this is an amazing figure, but it was a 50% decrease from the numbers that we had in 2021. That was a record year. But in any case, we are overpassing the numbers that we got in 2020. So it has grown and has, well, kept its numbers kind of if we take into account the general environment in the VC market. And in fact, in terms of investment, the number has declined, but in terms of number of deals, the number keeps on being more or less the same from previous year. That means that mega rounds have declined, but the number of deals and in early stage investment, we keep on being kind of the same. So digital payments are becoming increasingly popular. We have a survey by McKinsey that says that 90% of American people are using digital payments. However, MasterCard, in another research in late 2022, found that 20% of people have a strong distrust toward fintech companies, ranking them among the least trusted digital services, with only social networks being less trusted. So this raises an important question. Has the adoption of fintech been driven primarily by convenience rather than trust? And we are going to cover this question and many more today with this amazing panel that we have panel today of people that have built amazing products in fintech, and they are fighting against incumbents. And one of the things that they have to accomplish is to build this trust between users. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So let's start with you, José María, from Tuyo.
I'm José María Lucas. I'm co-founder of Tuyo. Should I introduce myself and also the company? Well, yeah. We are an insurtech specialized in home insurance.
Okay, my name is Ramón Blanco. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Be-Water Funds, which is a small private equity asset manager specialized on investing on technology companies with positive cash flow in Spain and Portugal and through secondaries.
Hello everyone, I'm Julien Hostache. I'm co-founder and president of Enerfip, which is an investing platform dedicated to energy transition, mainly in France, but since a few months we spread our activity in Europe.
Mm-hmm. François Derbaix, I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Indexa Capital. Indexa is an automated investment service. We started in Spain 7 years ago. We managed 1.7 billion euros in customer portfolios, mostly in Spain. And a few months ago, we started also in France with Assurance Vie, so life insurance saving, with the same investment model, but adapted to the Assurance Vie sector in France. Our motto is lower cost, higher returns. So through lower fees, we can manage to offer the customers higher profitability.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so José Antonio.
Yes, thank you. My name is Tony Caicoya. I'm a partner in PPCP Legal and Finance, and that's a law firm. We are basically dedicated to actually forming, we do regulatory and we do finance, we do assets. So what we do here is basically assist all this innovation and all these fintech efforts here to finally not only conduct all the regulatory path, but also to produce safe assets and solid investments. And we're very thankful because we are basically very proud of being part of this innovation.
Okay, and well, when you were introducing yourselves, I realized, and I promise, I didn't notice before that I'm a customer of most of you. So I am a customer of Indexa. I'm also a customer of Enerfip here in Spain and from Tuyo. And well, I have to invest in Bigwater, and we have co-invested together, in fact, from Guaira and Bigwater. So. Okay, and you have built the bonds. So, well, maybe I will answer that question about trust in consumer, because I'm the consumer that has trusted you. But let's start with this question, this discussion of, is this a business that is conducted by convenience, or is it trust that is driving the growth here? And, well, I'm going to drop the question, not addressing to any of you. So whoever wants to jump in, if not, I will.
Point the finger.
I will point the finger.
I'll take it. I think it's hard to build. It's very hard to build the trust of the consumers. Okay, but you don't have to kill yourself because it's very complicated. Because I mean, who has the trust? The banks. No? They've been around for 100 years, 200 years, 300 years. So building just a little bit of trust, you know, in a decade is actually not that bad. Okay, they have the trust because they have the years, okay, the history, and also they have the trust because up to now they had the relationship, the personal relationship with the client. Fortunately, this personal relationship is disappearing, and what we have to do as aggressors of the banking business is to try to substitute these two pieces of trust that the banks do have. So, for example, what we do is that we try to substitute it by playing within the system. One thing that some aggressors try to do is to be off the system or to try to challenge the system, but that's actually working against the trust. Okay, because you have to tell the people, listen, I'm within the system. I am guaranteed by the guaranteed deposit scheme. Okay, I am guaranteed by the regulatory framework in each of the countries. And if you want to be perceived as something secure, you need to be within the system. Then, for example, you can look for very well-known, very well-respected people in the country that endorses your product, your solution, because that will give trust to the people as well. Or an additional layer that maybe François can talk a little bit deeper into that later on is transparency. Transparency is a great source of perceived security for the clients. That's something that you can work on. And that's something where the banks don't really excel at it. Right?
Okay. Well, I'm seeing Jose Maria trying to jump in. So
no, I like a lot the question because it has to do a lot with what we do. I mean, we need trust. We need to build trust because we are asking clients to insure their home, which is usually the asset that has the most value for somebody with us, which we are a company that has been around for only a few years, and basically what Ramón was saying. And there are certain things that we can do to create a framework so that the trust can build, but you cannot rush it. Okay, we are regulated. You try to get support from people who build that trust, etc. And over time, you are hoping that people are going to perceive that you are a solid company and that you can be trustable. But you cannot rush it, and you have to find ways to get the client to perceive that you are trustable. And what we do at Tuyo is we try to build partnerships with other companies that are trusted by consumers, so that when we reach a consumer, we are not doing that directly. We are doing that through one of those companies. So a little bit of the trust that the consumer has on that company is transferred to us, because at the end of the day, they believe that that partner that is distributing our product has done the correct due diligence to ensure that we are a solid company, etc. So, you know, it's a very big challenge. It takes a lot of years, but there are certain things that you can do so that you rush it a little bit, but not too much.
That's very interesting. We have covered even influencer marketing and, and branding in this topic. And well, that follows, the following question that I have is the general perspective that you have, because you have covered different things, but I would like you to summarize them. So which is your perspective on who should be responsible for building that trust? Should it be the regulator, financial institutions, or should it be the responsibility of each and every user to inform and train themselves to be able to know, or even the community that you are building? Is the community that is forcing this kind of trust? So, Julien?
Yeah, I think that there is a little bit a paradox, as you say, people want to trust banks and usual systems, but in the same time, they don't like it and they want to change. And it means that they have to change their habits. And it's a big challenge because, as always, we want everything without effort, but it's not possible. So I think it's our responsibility to help people to understand what is new and what they have to do to understand. Because we have lived decades where we were sleeping investors and just let the banker say what I have to do. And now it's not at all the case. We have to be to decide and to be aware on how it works and what I have to do in order to put my money in the right way. So to answer your question, I think it's the responsibility of each other. And so the community is really interesting in that way, as when you see several people doing a new way, it could be really inspiring for you to do the same thing. So.
Okay. So, well, I'm I'm a proud customer of you. So, so François, if you want to tell us how you are addressing this topic.
Yeah. Actually, I think the customers are right to distrust about money because, well, it's about your savings. So it's you might have quite an important work behind these savings. So I think it's totally normal that the disruption is coming later to financial services than to travel or e-commerce and so on. I think the responsibility to build trust is on the provider side, so on the financial institution as Indexa Capital. I think we have to build trust through many small trust points, as Ramón and Julien and José María were mentioning before. So the trust is built on many small things. I think transparency is one of them. Another one is give a perfect service above expectations. And finally, our message for the customers is it's not a binary choice. You don't have to choose between the bank or Indexa Capital all at once, because that's a hard choice and you will take too long before taking the step. It's more about start investing with a minimum amount, and then you'll see how the service works, how you get the information, how it compares with what you have at the banks, and with the time you will actually gain trust. And I think that's what most of the customers are doing. On Indexa, most of the customers are starting with a minimum investment of 500 euro in France or 3,000 euro in Spain. That's our minimum amount. But the average customer is at 25,000 euro. And on average are investing 7,000 euro per year on the top of that. So customers start small, not because they have little money, but because they want to test the platform and then gain trust. So it's I think it's really a long-term game. So we are 8 years old. NFIP is 9 years old. 10 years old almost. Tuyo is 2 years old, maybe?
Yes, 2.5. We've been in the market only for 1 year and a half.
Okay. Be-Water is 4 years old, 5 years old, and we compare with banks which are hundreds of years old. So it's a question of time, and I think we are going to eat the pie. but bit by bit. So it will take some time.
We have to be patient.
Yes.
It's the key word.
Have to be patient. And well, I would like to get Tony into the conversation about regulation and how to build a product that can bring confidence to users. So, what is your expertise?
Yeah, there are many aspects to all of these businesses, but I think basically all of them rely on trust and confidence. As a lawyer, I can speak as to how to build trust. I don't think I can speak as to be convenient. I don't think we are very convenient. However, having said that, I think that basically trust is the firm belief on the reliance of some product. So basically, what these people are doing is not only creating solid products, they are also conducting actually building a track record and having all that reliance build up to each of their customers. And it's impressive to me. I mean, the amount of people who's actually investing through these platforms. And that was built by them. It was built in an environment created by ESMA, created by the CNMV and the AMF, and all the regulatory authorities. But it was them who actually built them. I think that regulatory authorities are doing a good job sometimes in two things. One, in spotting the person that is doing something wrong and help them reconduct that. And another one would be to step away of the actual business. I think it's a balance on that side. And so my experience is that they are very burdensome, very heavy on requirements, but it's a combination. So and maybe just to respond to another question that you posed before, is I think that there's the trust is not built by the investor. The trust is actually built by the product that you're selling and the consistent results. So, well, I think it's a win-win game in the terms of actually going and building up slowly over time. I would agree to that.
Okay, so well, you have covered several things. I'm going to try to order this conversation. We have talked about trust and confidence. Let's also talk, because you said something very interesting about selling expectations of people. And well, I'm one of the things that made me into Indexa investment was also about the way that you launch educational resources to the community that you have. So I'm not a very sophisticated investor, even I am in VC, but I come from the technological part of the VC world. And well, I got to know many new products thanks to you. So I would love to talk a bit more about how to train that community, because this is things that at least the three of you that are sitting in the middle are doing. So if you want to start, François.
Yeah. Of course, thank you, Paloma. In investments, most of the people are talking about returns. That's the highlight, so much return, so much. And they are sometimes forgetting to talk about risks. But the investment actually is about returns and risk. So at Indexa, we do a lot of work to communicate on the risk, not to communicate about too high returns expectations. Actually, we prefer to give a low bar. So the expected profitability of our service published on the website is quite low, and we hope on the long term we will exceed. And then for us, it's very important that every customer, even if they have no knowledge of finance, get to know the product, understand how it works, and understand the risks. Therefore, we publish blog posts, and then we reuse the blog post in a training program for each customer. That means that we send an email every 15 days. Every 2 weeks to each customer to get them to give them more financial education, Then we published a book. We are very active in communicating in general in order to get the people to learn with us and to understand about our product, about the other products, what they have the banks. Mostly understand the risk because there is also a risk if you invest. And with that, we think that the people will be more prepared to take an informed choice between the alternatives.
And if you had to choose between the strategies that you have, such as member get member, for example, you are very active in member get member, I guess that you are too. So which are the ones that are working best for you? If you need to give an advice to the audience, so it's about training, it's member get member, which of the programs should you launch first?
We have a product-based marketing. That means that we work on the product and we hope to have the best product for the customers and a satisfied, highly satisfied customer. And we hope that, and actually it's proven that it's working. Satisfied customers are our best ambassadors. And most of our marketing is going through our 64,000 customers who are mostly recommending the service. So more than 60% of the customers are coming invited by another one. So that's a word of mouth. It's member get member. So the word of mouth is because they are satisfied. And we on the top of that, we put the member get member, which is an incentive for both the one inviting a friend and the friend who is invited to the service. And both of them have cost reduction, so that we get a small incentive on the top of the word of mouth. That's the main marketing channel.
Julien, I'm going for you.
It's really close of what you say for us. The main part of our approach is to say that those things, I mean financial issues and also renewable and energy transitions, it's not complicated. Just we have to explain that clearly, and everyone here and everyone that look at us can understand everything of those sectors. And so it's what we do in NFIP. It's to produce a lot of contents to help people to understand and to teach what they have to know in order to be confident and to master all those topics. And so it's the main part of what we do in that way. And of course, when someone told to their friends or family that they invest on our platform and it's really clear, interesting, and at all level, it's of course the more powerful tool to give to have their confidence. Yeah.
And well, Ramón, in your case, you have a different kind of it's not a retail investment, it's more an investment kind of fund club. So how do you build trust with your club members? And in fact, what kind of process do you follow to choose the companies and to make them aware that they are in a place where they can lose all their money that they are investing?
Well, it's not. At the end of the day, the main difference is that the language that we use for professional investors is more sophisticated, because by nature they know more about the product, and therefore you need to give more details, more specifics, and more numbers. Okay. But apart from that, it's not very different from the retail investor. I mean, you need to be transparent. You need to give the image that you are playing within the system. You need to give returns which are adjusted to the risk that they are taking, and you need to explain them the main characteristics of the product, which is basically the liquidity, no? So it's not that different, you know. What really differs is the deepness, no, of the language and of the communication. One thing I forgot to mention before is that one thing you can do to build trust, obviously, is to list the company in the stock market, which is something that we're going to do in July, most likely. And one of the main reasons why we do it is because a listed company is perceived as a more solid company than an unlisted company, and especially outside your home country. Obviously, the people perceive that there is more people looking at the company, that there are more regulation scrutiny over your company, that there are more, that the auditors care more about what's being published about you. And that's one of the things that you can do if you're big enough.
If you're big enough. So, José María?
In our case, it's we have to build trust and we have to educate the customers, and we have to do it ideally before they purchase the product. Because what usually happens with insurance is that you only learn about the exclusions once something has happened to you. And we have to avoid that kind of experience at all costs. Okay, so most part of the insurance policies in Spain, over 99%, are sold through a person, either on the phone or in a physical channel. So we have to, and we try to do a self-service, so we have to provide a lot of information and put all the exclusions in a very, very clear way. We also try to do it in a way that the product is designed so that it is not as complex as other products. There are, when we design the product, we try to exclude those covers that are complicated and that are very difficult for the customer to understand, so that the covers that we include have very little or almost no fine print. And also we try to do it in a way that you can join the company through a subscription that you can cancel any month. That is something very different to what usually an insurance company would be doing, so that the customer, he feels that he's entering into something that it is good because you can leave at any time. So we are so sure about the service that we give, that we are not like traditional insurance companies that they try to get you, and once you are in, it's very difficult to wait for the window so that at which you can leave, etc. So what we do is we try to give a lot of information at the beginning and design a product that educates the client before they purchase, so they know what they are purchasing, without needing somebody explaining and going through them through a lot of actuarial wording that nobody understands.
Okay, so you have different products that you are communicating to users. So, well, in your case, Julien, what measures have you implemented to ensure transparency and accountability in the crowdfunding and taking into account the kind of projects that you are financing and the kind of products that you make so that the users invest? So you have something that is quite innovative, such as the bonds that you have launched here in Spain. So
yeah, the first thing is, as I said previously, is to inform people, to teach them how it works. It's really an important tool for that, and it's a little bit close on what you say. It's also, and it's a little bit a paradox, it's also to have a human presence for people when they have questions. It could be strange, but as we are a numerical company, we also trust in the human presences, and our customer services is really have a big performance to answer people and to be there when they have some questions. And it's really important for this transparency, and just to see that you have Valerie, Maeva, Nawel, or Pauline that you may call or send an email to have your answer of your question. It's really, really important. And the other point is also that we are previously, before ENERFIP, we were a developer of projects, renewable projects. So we are experts of our domain, our sector, and we don't want to do anything else, and just to stay in that sector, because we are able to select the good project and to know where are the potential issues, and to explain to people why we choose this one and not this one. So it's thanks to those tools that I think we obtain this transparency and confidence.
And how do you choose the projects you invest? Because we didn't cover that, Ramón. So the kind of projects that you are covering in Big Water.
We invest in a very niche space, because actually most of the VC money which is invested, you know that, goes into projects which need to grow a lot in a very short time frame. So that means if you need to build, I don't know, a 500 million euro company in 5 years, it means that you need to lose a lot of money, okay, because there's no other way to do it. So most of the VC money is chasing this type of products, okay, which is very risky products that can become very, very big. And we decided to approach, we like to see ourselves as contrarians. So we decided to pursue a different approach purposefully, which is basically that we invest in cash flow positive companies within the technology space. And one of the main reasons to do it is, one, because the risk is lower. But second, because there is no appetite for these kind of companies. There is certain appetite over 3 million euros, because that's where the private equities begin to invest. But between 0 and 3 million, there's very little appetite. And we like that. We like that because actually the less demand, less price. No? So how do we choose the projects? We look for good teams. We look for a good market. We look for a sustainable competitive advantage within the company. And finally, very, very, very important, very, very, very important, very important, a good price.
A good price.
Actually, we are convinced that one of the most important decisions, if not the most important decision, is the entry price.
Yeah, for sure. If you buy expensive, it's difficult to get something out of that. And well, I would like to come back to regulation, and I'm looking at you, Tony. So can you elaborate on any specific challenges or regulatory frameworks that need to be navigated when creating a bond scheme for crowdfunding in renewables sector?
Definitely, yes. That's a handful of places where to start from, but maybe I'll just take a step back and probably explain for a minute what it is that we're doing together with ENERFIP. It is, in Spain, the crowdfunding has been basically reduced to two things, to startups and to real estate. There are not many other, there are also some initiatives on energy, and there's also a different quality that we're doing in Spain. We're also investing either in equity or in debt. But what we're seeing ENERFIP doing is that they're doing actually bonds. It's a different thing. It's not debt, it's not equity. You don't have the people going into your equity decisions. You don't have the difficulty of managing all these people in the debt side. You have bonds. They are very solid, they are transparent, and they are very, they will pay on time. Not only do we have that, we have very serious companies doing this. There are quoted companies that are doing this in project finance, in corporate finance. So basically, in this step back, what I'm trying to say is that this bond scheme or investment has been developed in a very solid way. Now, going to your question, it is certainly very difficult to do this. Regulations have to go three ways. They have to go on the crowdfunding side. Actually, they also touch on the investment firm side. They also touch on the bond scheme side, and then you, of course, you go to retail investment versus professional investment. So I would say there are lots of places to particularly, and this is a fourth leg we're doing. We're doing this issuance of bonds in France. So it is certainly challenging, but what I can say is that I see that the French regulation or regulatory environment in bonds and in crowdfunding are more amicable to the firms and actually to doing these emissions than in Spain. In Spain, they can be done. There are certainly loopholes that we need to look through. So, well, any specific one, bonds, for instance. Bonds are not ready regulatory-wise or legally-wise to actually be implemented in crowdfunding schemes swiftly, very easily. You need to go through several hurdles. So, well, that's a competitive advantage to me, actually, but certainly not for the market, certainly not good for the market. And we recently see that, and this is basically what I'm want to convey to the people is that we're seeing the professionalization of the crowdfunding scheme to actually be able to invest in good and solid assets. So yeah, I think there's a good possibility there to provide very good value.
Well, I'm curious about the kind of customers that you have in your crowdfunding. So, which is the average type of investor that you are having? So, is it a retail investor with minimum tickets from?
Yeah, we are really on the retail way, as we have up to 43,000 clients registered on NRFIP, and 15,000 investors, and the average of their investment is about 2,000 euros per investment. So it's really retail in this world, and so. We are sure that even if it's a long way to convince people and to have their trust, it could be really a powerful tool for investment. For example, we collected up to 350 million euros since 9 years, which is pretty important in the retail world, and that's why we are #1 in our sector in Europe as a crowdfunding platform. So yes, it's little tickets, of course, but if you succeed to have a lot of people, you could be really powerful for investment, and our will is to make all this money going on energy transition. So we think it's the good way, even if it's the harder one.
Oh, okay. So, well, I'm going to answer the question of trust myself, because as I promised this at the beginning, so I'm a customer of all of you. So I will say which were my motivations when I entered. Of course, I'm kind of an early adopter of these technologies because of the of the kind of work that I do. But well, I'm managing my personal finance. So I was concerned when I first started to see things about Indexa. It was a lot of trust about you, about the people that is behind Indexa, and it's the same thing that happened to me with NRFIP. Yes. So it's the people that are behind that can and that bring trust to me. But it was also the easiness of use in the kind of Indexa. I totally agree of the thing that you were saying about product that sells, and also how easy it was to reverse decisions. So it was also the way out that helped me a lot to cross that barrier. And this is something that I would say, I will also say about Tuyo. So I'm a proud customer. I have my my personal insurance at home with you.
If I remember correctly, you even had the chance to test us in when you were having a problem at home, right?
I also had an incident, and the problem with insurance is sometimes that the moment of truth is the moment where the user is really angry, to say it in a very polite way, because things are happening, and the problem with insurance is that you are paying for something not to happen. So it's difficult to be trusted in that. And I must say that it was also a question of how easy it was to go out. If I had any problem with you, I could go out. But the moment of truth that I have with Tuyo, it was amazing. I did not use the the hotline that I had with the CEO because I didn't need it, and the process was fabulous.
It was a funny thing because we don't have a VIP list or a list of people. You know, everybody goes through the same channel, so I never realized when people. It is way better to give a claim to the proper team than to give it to me, that I always mismanage it. So you know, it's very happy that you had a good experience. But it's a funny thing because in insurance, at least in home insurance, you only have like 2% of the people who go through a claim every month. So, you know, it's very difficult to build that trust based on your experience because only it goes very slowly that people tries your product, they are happy, and then they promote your product to their community. But it's
Never to use the hotline with the CEO should be a must. Never need to do that. Should be a must for every company trying to build trust. So well done. And well, I don't know if you want to make any final remarks on the topic. Something that you should. We have an audience that is quite mixed, so we have even investment people around here. So so if you want to address the main topic, to summarize an advice for founders that may be listening to you. So which are the challenges that you are facing and the kind of advice that you should do? So let's start with you, François.
Two. The first one is aligned with Tonio, is that it's better to go the regulatory way, which is much harder, actually. Most of entrepreneurs don't want to get regulated, but in the financial sector, it's definitely the right way, because it's the one that's going to give more insurance, less risk to the customers. And the second one is to put the customer first. And it sounds quite common. Everybody says it. But in the financial sector, most of the companies don't do it. So the banks actually are not putting the customer first. They're putting the profit and loss first, and they are selling the product, generating more margin for the banks. And the opportunity for a new disruptor or new entrant in the sector is actually to put the customer first and to think about the products in the customer interest. I think that's above all, and that's something you will have to defend, not to become as the incumbents.
Okay, that's good advice.
Also, two advices in my part. The first one will be make smiling Tony, I guess, because it's about the requirements of the regulations. You don't have to see that as an issue. It's the opposite. It's a wonderful tool to obtain the confidence. Because if you think about that, if you're doing well your job, even if it's a little bit boring, you also send a message for people to say, I am serious and I do the right job in order to give you the better product possible. So just think it's not an issue, it's a wonderful tool for the confidence of people. And the second one is to not lose the human solutions and to keep human in your process, because it's completely change maker with other concurrents, competitors. Thank you. I'm sure it's really important to keep that, even if you are in a numerical company. It's really important. Yeah.
So Ramón.
My advice would be the main advice would be just be real, just don't overpromise, just deliver on what you say, be transparent, and that would be a lot of trust over the future. And the second advice would be that for those entrepreneurs who are looking at us, if you have a cash flow positive company, and you want to get some liquidity, just call us, info@bwaterfunds.com. We're waiting for you.
In my case, I think that they made a fantastic summary of, I think that being regulated is super important, showing it is super important, putting the customer in the middle. My advice to an entrepreneur would be patient. I mean, it looks like you are working on building this trust and that it doesn't have an effect, because the effect is very far away in time. So just work with faith, and at some point things are going to start working. It's exactly like that. It was like that for us. We spent a few months that we were trying to build trust, and we didn't see it in the numbers, and over time, little by little, it started taking off. And I believe that it was that job that there was not an aha moment. It was just little by little of the work that we put into building that trust.
Nobody enters into an empty restaurant.
No, yeah. Yeah, and in fact,
Somebody did, eh?
Somebody else.
yeah, but maybe you need to get that influencer inside.
Risky clients.
my family and my friends.
Okay, so well, in fact, we are saying that those companies, you are the younger here, the youngest company that we have in the table. So the trust must be built with time, patience, and excellent products, I would say. So thank you very much for this amazing panel. It was great having you today. Thank you, NRFIP, for organizing these amazing things here.
Thank you.
And well,
you.
let's continue and follow on. Bye.